going from that story of familial... I know I didn't pronounce that right. Going from that story of a loving family, let's take a quick look at Daegu, South Korea. Daegu, South Korea. It's a place, obviously, but more importantly, we're looking at the year 2003. And even more importantly, we're looking at February 18th. So, Daegu, some of you guys, I'm probably not pronouncing it right. It basically sounds like I'm saying ragu, but Daegu, but you're just going to have to go with me on this. My shuttle shows up very shortly. I spent way too much time talking about that blind boy. But I got to take my time with this, because this is an interesting one, just from the way that everything played out. I try not to laugh, because I know what's coming. So Kim Dae-han was this dude. He had a stroke. He couldn't work. He was super depressed. He lost his job. I know, it's a great way to start this, right? After the blind boy story. He's 56 years old. And he wants to kill himself. But there's a problem. He also doesn't like being alone. He doesn't want to die alone. So technically that's not suicide. That's something else. But he doesn't want to die alone. So, doesn't go on a shooting spree. Doesn't, I guess he doesn't have any loved ones to kill. This sounds flippant. I'm sorry. But again, I know where this is coming. It's so bizarre how it ends. But in the beginning, he says, I don't want to die by myself. Maybe he didn't necessarily want to kill other people. He just didn't want to be alone when he died. And again, just, jump off a building into a crowd of people, crowd surf from 10 stories high. He decides to get 2 milk cartons, fill them full of flammable liquid, and take a ride on a subway. The subway in Daegu. He gets on train 1079. And people are sitting on the train. It's early morning, so it's mostly full of college students and young women going to their jobs in the retail district. And he's sitting there on the train, and people are just kind of going about their business, reading their newspapers. And someone notices that he pulls out these jugs out of his duffel bag. He sits them down, and then he starts trying to find a lighter. And then he gets it, and he's trying to light it. And at this point, people are getting really suspicious. I'm sure they could smell the chemicals as he got on, but now you see a guy fumbling with a lighter. A fight breaks out over the lighter. People are trying to stop him from doing whatever nonsense he's about to do. One of the cartons of liquid gets kicked and spilled all over the subway car. He ends up igniting the lighter, and he catches on fire. Kim catches on fire, and immediately freaks out. Oh my god, what's going on? Oh yeah, I forgot I was going to try to commit suicide, but this totally hurts. And he jumps off the train, out of the subway car. And quite a few other people get out of the subway car as well. But the problem is that it wasn't just one subway car, you had all the cars connected together as the subway works. And the insulation that was between the outer metal shell and the inner metal shell. So you had the outside, and then you had some insulation to keep everything warm. And then on the inside you had the rest of it, and then that's where the seats were and everything. The fire actually got into the insulation, and shot through the train. So if you weren't in that car, it didn't matter. All the trains now were burning on the inside of the walls. Plastic started to melt, and everything became pitch black smoke. So people in other cars didn't know what was going on. They may have heard a struggle, but now their car was on fire in the walls where they couldn't see it, and smoke was just billowing out everywhere. Within 2 minutes, all 6 cars on that subway train were on fire. Either full on, your floor's on fire, or it was on fire in the walls, burning all of that insulation, choking black smoke. The conductor of 1079 doesn't tell headquarters what's going on. For whatever reason, he doesn't radio them in and go, oh my god, my train's on fire. A guy just jumped out, he's on fire. A bunch of people ran out of a certain train, and now there's smoke everywhere. Doesn't warn anyone. Train 1080 is now pulling into the station in the opposite direction. It stops alongside 1079, so now they're both facing in different directions. They're both parked next to each other now. And the doors open up to let the people out of 1080, but just smoke is everywhere at this point. So when their doors open up, 1080, they doesn't know what's going on. Black smoke begins filling the subway, and they have to close the doors again. And they have no idea that the subway next to them is on fire. The subway train next to them is on fire. The automatic fire detection system in the subway system detects a fire. And this is such a weird, quote-unquote, safety mechanism. What it does is it shuts down power. So all the lights go off, and the trains are stuck. The power to the rails is shut off. The conductor for the train 1080 says, hey guys, just stay on here. Stay on the train. There's a fire next to us, but we're safe in here. Don't worry about it. Then, because he calls in radio, he calls the headquarters. 1080 conductor calls in headquarters and says, hey, what am I supposed to do here? What's going on? And they said, we're trying to figure it out. Just stay there for right now. He tells his people, stay on the train. There's smoke everywhere. We're safe on our train. Eventually, though, his supervisors say, you know what? You got to get out of there. Just get out of the train. Get everyone out of the train. He panics, and he pulls out the master key of the train, jumps out of his train. But his master key is what would allow everyone in his train to be able to open their doors. So now you have 2 trains that are stuck. One's completely on fire. The other one, the people are trapped inside. In the subway station, and in most subway stations at the time, no fire extinguishers on the trains, no fire sprinklers in the system, no emergency lighting, pitch black, smoke everywhere, people trapped on trains, people crawling through over bodies, just trying to get away from this flame. In the end, so many people were badly burned. They assume 195 people died in this brief amount of time, burned to death. Because so many people were burned so badly, they were like, that might be a person. The only reason they came up with the number 195, they had to have phone companies go through and find out who placed phone calls from that subway to loved ones. That is some dark shit. They had to go, who placed a phone call from this subway? And they're like, oh, Sally called, looks like Sally tried calling her mom and she didn't get through. And they're like, she must be one of the bodies. That's how badly you're just charred remains in piles trapped in these cars. Insane. Because I guess it goes without saying that the 1080 ended up catching on fire as well because they're so close to each other. 195 people burned. The only way. Now, Kim survived. He ended up going to prison. He got life in prison for multiple murder. Both train operators actually got sentenced to prison too for 4 to 5 years for their role just as a safety thing. Like, they weren't following procedures. They got a bunch of people killed. It was more of like negligence type of murder. It was considered a national tragedy, and South Korea looked back at it and said, we think we were so focused on becoming industrialized very quick. We cut corners as a nation. We said, let's just hurry up and get this stuff done. We weren't thinking like fire extinguishers or power not being... Let's not shut the electricity off when there's a mass casualty event. Let's try that. But you're like, Jason, why would you tell that story right before you're about to go on a plane trip? Dude, and I got like 7 minutes to finish this up. But I don't want to rush this. Because now, this is so bizarre. That story in and of itself, you're like, okay, that's a horrible tragedy. You've covered tragedies and stuff like that before. It wasn't interactive for good reason. Now you can go to Daegu, but it is no longer a subway station. It is a theme park. It is Daegu Safety Theme Park. All this stuff is really at this theme park. There is a replica of a subway car, shaped like the one that the people horribly died in, with a twirly slide. So it's an elevated train, it's an elevated subway car, it's sticking outside of the building, and you can get on it and go, whee! Go down a slide out of the same style of subway car these people horribly died in, calling their loved ones, choking on smoke. You can have the fun way out. Whee! Have the little twirly slide. You are shown a video. It's a documentary about the deaths, horrible 195 deaths, created by a man suffering from crippling depression. You get to watch a movie about that while you're at the theme park. And then after watching that movie, you get to go into a replica subway station with the real car in the subway station. So you can go underground, and you can see a car where hundreds of people died in. Not haunted at all. There's no horrible ghost residue there. And if you just watch this movie, And then you get to see the car where these people try to claw their way out of the windows while choking smoke went in their lungs and their feet burned from the hot metal. No joke. Then, while you're in the subway, they begin to shut the lights off and pump fake smoke to let you simulate the tragedy. So you're in there. You just imagine this. It's the fun safety park, or not fun. It's the Daegu safety theme park. You go there. You're 9. You're probably with your class. You just watch this horrible video, and then you go into the subway station with a replica car. The lights start to dim, and smoke starts to billow out. Now, the website is there to let you know it is safe smoke. But I'm not worried about the physical amount of the smoke. I'm worried about the mental ramifications of watching that video. I would think ghosts were attacking me. If I went down there and no one said, okay, now we're going to pump smoke through here and we're going to shut the lights off, I would assume I was in some sort of hellish universe at this point. That I was about to get dragged into the eternity of burning to death in a subway car. And you go, okay, so that's a safety theme park. That's all they do. You go down a slide attached to a subway car. And you get to watch this video. No, there's more, because, see, it's safety. They got to tell you about other problems in South Korea. You can learn about forest fires, which I know South Korea has forests. That makes sense. You can also learn how to escape wild pigs. Apparently, boar attacks are a big issue in South Korea. And there's an earthquake simulator. So, out of the tragedy of 195 people being burnt so badly that investigators had to listen to final voicemails of people saying goodbye to their loved ones or begging for their help. Out of that, you can now go to a theme park and learn how to escape Pumbaa. Or is it Timon? One of them. Maybe both of them. Maybe they have meerkat attacks over there as well. But out of all that tragedy, you can now learn what it's like to be in an earthquake. What I want to learn is how not to die in a subway car. And they teach you that in the most gruesome way possible by simulating you dying in a subway car. You can actually see like phones and pieces of the stuff that's all melted, and they're like, see, look at how bad we were back then as far as our fire suppression technology. It's much better now. Oh no, there's smoke billowing through the walls as the power goes out. That's absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I can't imagine that stunt being pulled anywhere in America. I can't imagine them being like, hey, remember that whole Columbine thing? Is there a way we can turn that into a theme park? Is there a way that we can we have a documentary on Columbine, and then while you're watching it, we simulate gunfire coming from behind you? And then as you're running out of the school simulation, we'll have wild boars attack you. So at the same time, you can learn how to avoid wild pig attacks. I can't imagine this flying anywhere in America. I can't imagine it, but it would be hilarious if someone tried doing it. So that is going to be it. Today's episode, if you can't tell, was a little more nuts. I guess the subject matter wasn't super lighthearted, but I have to go on this trip. I wanted to get a couple episodes in the can. It's possible that there will not be an episode coming out on Thursday and Friday of this week. We'll see, because I'm going on the trip, and then I'm coming back and all that stuff. But I wanted to get some episodes in the can for you guys. You guys have been awesome. Since I've come back from my break, the download numbers have been astonishing. Like, you guys really did come back to the show. And it looks like you guys brought some friends. So that's really, really awesome. I wanted to say that I appreciate all that stuff. You guys are great. So I'm going to go finish getting dressed. I got 29 minutes to do it. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.